It's all yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being on the call. It's Friday, November the 13th. Friday the 13th. That has connotations of good luck, of yay. So this is a good time. So as usual, the slaughterhouse of failure is not in my destiny. I will persist until I succeed. Og Mandino. This is so important. So today, actually, based on also something that Kent said on Wednesday, he said, one of the words he said was, sometimes people feel intimidated when they're in front of a doctor. So Dan and I decided to have a chat about this intimidation thing and the fear of rejection and how we're going to pivot this. So basically, it's an insecurity of our own thinking at that time with that person, and so we have this real fear of rejection. We want to have this warm feeling. So we're going to talk about that today. Dan?
Yeah, fear and rejection are at the core of salespeople in general. I think it's a natural human emotion to maybe feel rejected by our peers or people in our social group or things like that. And so it's really it comes down to mindset. And there's a number of reasons that we have that feeling. One of the biggest things probably is your mindset about what a salesperson does. And there's a lot of negative connotations to sales people or salesperson or what our role is. But I think if we change our mindset that we're not somebody that's selling something to someone, but rather we're a problem solver and a partner in helping them find what their pain points are and help solve that problem. So, a lot of people see salesperson and immediately conjure up images of somebody that's dishonest or manipulative, or somebody that's just trying to sell them something for the sake of selling something so that they have a livelihood. But this goes back to last week when we were talking about the challenger salesperson, showing them that they have a problem and that we have a solution for that problem.
So I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, Scott Bennett was talking about going straight into a storm the way a buffalo does. Just head straight into the storm, head straight into your challenge, go straight into it, head first. So the way we can do that is if we tweak our insecurities and we get, as Dan just said, our mindset right. So, in some ways, well, first of all, as we just said, we're problem solvers. Imagine ourselves, as being the doctor for the doctor. It sounds preposterous, but it's not. What does the doctor know about banking? What does the doctor is an expert in his or her field, but the doctor really hasn't had a chance to study a lot of other things that are what we call street smarts. So we can actually help the doctor. For example, the two biggest problems the doctor has are time and money. I'm not talking about specialists, I'm generally speaking. Time. Why? Because they're constricted with having to do their allopathic Western style medicine within the parameters of which they've been taught, and within the insurance companies and reimbursements. That's what dictates how much they earn. And electronic records takes up half their time. So they're constricted within parameters of where they have to work, and they've got time limitations because they have to see the more patients they see, that's what keeps them alive. So we actually can offer them a kind of a solution to both the time and the money. And that is if we work this idea of the scanner in a way which they can then see some light, and they can say, oh my gosh, I can add income to my practice while helping my patients. Well, let me rephrase that. I can help my patients and add income to my practice. Wow, and it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg, and it doesn't take much time. So if we go in with that, start with that attitude, that mindset of we're there to be problem solvers and partners.
Yeah, it comes back to mindset, and how we think about salespeople and how we think about our role as a salesperson. I never go in and talk to a doctor or a medical device sales rep when I'm trying to talk to them about the business and tell them that, I'm trying to sell them something. I have something that I want to show you. I have something that I want to partner with you. I want to introduce to you, and we can partner together to make it a success for your patients and your practice. Or we can partner together and you can join our team and we will help you create an additional revenue stream utilizing your network. And so, a lot of these things are caused by our fear of rejection and our aversion to rejection. And this all comes down to call reluctance, all of these things that keep us from achieving our goals. We have all these distractions in our office. We have all these distractions going around in our environment. We have all these distractions going on in our mind that kind of put up these walls of why we're not going to make sales calls that day, or why we're not going to reach out to folks on LinkedIn, or why we're not going to stop in a doctor's office. From 25 years in sales, I've had sales call reluctance multiple times. I've been rejected multiple times in a day. And then I go to the last doctor's office and I sit there in the parking lot and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I can handle one more no today. And then you just have to kind of forge through that and say, you know what? It's only a no. What's the worst thing that they can say when you go in to talk to them and introduce a product or partner with them? The worst thing that they can say is no. And so you have to get past that fear of rejection. It's not a rejection of your personality, of you as a person. It's just a rejection of time is the way I look at it. Most of the time, it's just not, they don't have the time to see you, or they don't have the time to listen to you that day. So, one day, just because, it's not working out that day doesn't mean that you can't stop back another day. And I usually, if they tell me that they don't have time, I say, when is a good day? Because they have days of the week where they're not quite as busy. And so, you have to look at the things that are creating that call reluctance in yourself. And one of the things that we can do is we can gain a better knowledge of our products, because sometimes it's not, the call reluctance doesn't come from, it comes from the fear of rejection, but it can also come from the fear of rejection because we don't know exactly what we're talking about. And it can be very intimidating talking to a physician who went through 12 years of schooling and you might look at him as somebody that has a broader depth of knowledge. But one thing, that we have going for us is that most physicians don't really know a lot about nutrition or the importance of nutrition because they just haven't been taught about it. And so it's an opportunity for us to educate them a little bit more on nutrition and the importance of this and helping to prevent disease and make people feel better and all these other things versus the allopathic Western medicine paradigm. And so I think it's really important that you spend a lot of time, especially when you're first getting started, but even as you continue this journey, that you continuously educate yourself on what's pertinent to what we're talking about. And, one of the things when I got into this business was, I had a fear of, how this is something new to me. I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't know anything about the biophotonic scanner. But as the weeks and the months went on, I felt more and more comfortable being able to talk about it and have that conversation. And so it's not something that happens overnight. And I can tell you for a fact, that's a fear that a lot of sales reps have when we talk to them, medical device sales reps, because I hear it on a weekly basis, that they've talked to somebody in the past and they just weren't impressed with the onboarding and how they could become educated about these products because they don't know anything about nutrition. And so, one of the things that we focus on our team is the education aspect, because that's a big pain point for a lot of people. That's going to, give them that call reluctance.
The big thing is that it's not about us. It's about them. It's not about what we want. It's all about how we can help them solve where we can see them and they sometimes can't see themselves. And that goes for all of us. Sometimes we happily, skipping along in our lives, and somebody says, have you ever thought about this? And you say, my God, I haven't really thought about that. But it takes somebody who's a friend or somebody who cares to make that observation. And in this case, I like to think that we really are helping to solve the problem of the person or the people we're talking to, that they may not even realize it. You know, it's that old frog in the warm water. There's one frog that you heat the put two frog, frog in a pot, in a bag, in a pot. You heat the water slowly, 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 and the frog, cold-blooded, loves it, loves it, loves it. And then you keep heating the water and it dies. But you put another frog in when the water's a bit too warm and it wants to get out. Because we don't notice, we're in that comfort zone when slowly, slowly, slowly things kind of deteriorate. We don't even notice it. So I think this is sometimes what we observe with the people we're talking to, and how we can bring some fresh light into the thing. For the physician, we can bring him or her some kind of solution for time and for money. Those are the two. And stress is a huge thing, which is a consequence of the first two anyway. So if we can look at helping to solve those problems, then, and we know what we know, and we know that they don't know what they don't know, we have a solution. And if we then learn how to present that from a position of humble strength, where we're able to point out to them how we can help them, we kind of can become a doctor for the doctor, because we really are helping them in many ways.
Absolutely. A lot of time these doctors don't even know they have a problem. You know, they're so busy seeing 30 to 50 patients a day that they don't even have time to think about what their problem is. Their problem is that they're seeing too many patients, and they have to get to the next room, you know, see a patient for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, get to the next room, see the next patient 5, 10 minutes as a factory, right? And so they don't even know that they have a problem, more than likely. And so, you know, that's where that challenger sales personality comes in. You need to start to challenge them on what some of their problems are. You know, and Lawrence talks about that. You know, you look around the office and you see a picture of them with their family on a boat or something like that. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. You know, you have a boat, great. How often do you get out on it? You know, never. I'm too busy. You know, and I had a relative that was a doctor, and well, he's still a doctor. And we used to say to him, we're like, why do you work so much? He's like, I have to. I've got too many bills, you know, because they buy the expensive house, big expensive house, which is way more than what they need. They buy the expensive cars. They take expensive trips, you know, so they're not good with money and saving money and looking at money as a means to an end. And that's how I look at money. It's a means to an end, right? If I have more of it, then that allows me to live a lifestyle that I can enjoy. Not always working to live. I'm living to work, or sorry, backwards. I don't live to work, I work to live. And so, you know, another thing that we can do to mitigate some of this call or rejection aversion and call reluctance is to pre-qualify, you know, the people that we're talking to and introducing and partnering with the scanner. And there's 4 questions to use to qualify a prospect. And one of them is, do they need what I'm selling? Are they a decision maker? Can they afford what I'm selling? And who would I likely be competing with? You know, those are 4 qualifying questions that you can ask yourself and ask who you want to partner with. And so knowing the answers to these questions, coupled with a selling mindset that your purpose is to be a problem solver, it's going to help bolster your confidence when you're making sales calls. So, you know, one of the other things is removing distractions. You know, I had a call with one of my team members today yesterday, and he said he went in to call on a doc, and the doc was like, I don't have time. I've got this going on. I've got that going on. You know, so he started to challenge him on it and asked him, you know, kept asking him for 45 minutes. I just need 45 minutes of your time. I know you're busy. You know, there's not a lot of patients in here. I know you've got a lot going on, but I just need 45 minutes of your time. Can I have 45 minutes of your time today? No. Okay. Well, can I have 45 minutes of your time tomorrow or the next day? Right. And just constantly be challenging that. Right. Because it's easy for people to just say, no, I don't have time. I don't have time. Well, this is important because we have a way to partner with you that's going to give you more time.
Well, on the time thing, I just want to mention something quickly. There are nice ways of not hurting. There's nice ways of making people aware of their shortcomings, of something that they need to do. So, for example, on the time thing, say, well, you know, have you got kids? And they'll say, yeah. How many kids you got? I got 3 kids. How old is you got, what are they? Girls, boys? Okay. And then I say, well, what's your 9-year-old daughter's best friend's name? They're going to say, what? Yeah. Do you know the name of your 9-year-old daughter's best friend? And that makes them squirm because they realize they haven't had the time to really integrate with their families. I'm generalizing, of course, but I'm just trying to make a point that time is something that is so precious, and that we've got to make them aware that if they don't have time, that's why they got to see us. If they can't afford to buy that, if they can't afford to do something, that's why they got to talk to us. So, you know, we've got something that can really help them. And this is where we're looking at. That's where we have this challenger mentality to say, dude, you know, I understand times are tough, but that's why you need to talk to me. That's why you need to listen to me. It's not me. I've got the whole backing of stuff to show you. It's a company. It's science. It's all kinds of stuff to show you. And we're going to show you how to alleviate some of the problem of time and money and stress. Now, if you're interested in that, then you're going to find the time. I'm going to ask you 15 and you're going to give me 30 minutes. So it's an attitude that we have, that we've got to know that we know what we know, and the person we're talking to does not know what they do not know. It's up to us to show them how we can help them and solve some of their problems, these particular 3 problems: money, time, and stress.
Yeah, and it's confidence, right? It's going in there fully confident that you know what you're talking about, that we have the studies, that we have the science, that we have the technology, and just being able to communicate that to the person, right? And so, you've got to be fully confident in what you're talking about, and so that comes back to the education piece. You need to know as much as you possibly can about our products, so that you're not fumbling and trying to look through things to get information. I mean, there are going to be times, and the best way to handle that when you don't know something is say, I don't know the answer to that question. Can I get back to you? I'll send it to you in email or something like that. And one of the biggest things is when you tell somebody you're going to do something, make sure that you do it, right? Because you don't, especially in a sales situation, when you tell somebody you're going to do it and then you don't do something, that sale's over, because they've lost confidence in you, that you don't have the confidence or respect them enough to tell them you're going to do something and then do it. And so, interestingly enough, with rejection, it works from the same pain centers as your physical pain pathways. So they've done MRI studies that show that the same areas of the brain become activated when we experience rejection as when we experience physical pain. And so that's why we try to not put ourselves in a situation where we're going to feel that pain. And, a lot of that comes from our evolutionary past. There was back in the day, there was physical pain associated with, social pain and rejection associated with getting kicked out of our tribe, right? If you got kicked out of your tribe, it was a lot harder to make it on your own than it was to being part of a team or of a community. And so a lot of this is genetically based, and they have research on that it became an aversion to fear genetically, an aversion to rejection genetically, just because of our social constructs. And that's just continued to this day. And so you need to look at what's causing that fear for you. It's going to be different for everybody. Is it a fear that you don't feel worthy? Is it a fear that you don't know what you're talking about? Is it a fear that you have the mindset that you're a salesperson and not a problem solver and partner? There's multiple different things it can be. You just need to look at what those fears are for your own self.
Yeah, attitude and mindset. But here's something also that you've just said, Dan, that when you're talking about a tribe, well, we have a tribe, we have a team, we form a team, we form a tribe. And guess what the tribe's job is to be able to work as to be able to chat and to talk and guide us collectively in a direction. So if we have an issue, we have a doubt, we have a problem, well, we can go to the tribe. We can go to our team and say, listen, and this is why we have our weekly meetings. We have what we call our Ruby calls. And the Ruby calls are for what? Are be able to vent and to talk about the challenges we've had, the plans we've got, what went well, what went wrong, what did we say right, what did we say wrong, to dissect and analyze and see how we can get an opinion, not just from ourselves, because this is, any business that you're on your own, whether you're a salesman by yourself or whether you got a business by yourself, you're a physician or you're a shop owner or whatever it is, it's a very lonely business. That's why you have a board of directors. That's why you have other people to come in and help you with that. I used to have my own company. It was actually a very big company, but I had a board of directors and I used to squirm every time we had a month because I was wondering what I could have done better before the board meeting. But that was just the way it was. But now I embrace it and I say, wow, I so love to have our meetings, our Ruby calls, because we can discuss how we can go forward and strengthen our own convictions.
And that's an important part of this whole aversion process too, is tracking your progress, looking at what you're doing right. So talk to your team members about how your sales calls went, how they, what you can improve on, what you can do differently next time, or what they do that they seem that works. That may not work for you, but you can kind of tailor that to your needs and to improve your communication about what we have. And so the only true cure for call reluctance is to confront our aversion head on. And when you do that, you can start to develop a strategy for overcoming it.
Absolutely. So we've got about a couple of minutes. If anybody wants to say anything, Dan, unless you've got anything you want to add to that. I mean, there's plenty of stuff we can talk about. This is a huge subject. For example, even asking for referrals, by the way. This week, I went to see an optometrist and for about the 5th time, and he still wasn't quite ready and what have you. So then I said, okay, well, could you give me some referrals? Could you tell me someone that might be interested? From there, I got 2 other referrals. From that one, I got 2 others, and I'm hoping this week to place 3 scanners from referrals. So, I'm just saying this is a big, big subject, and it's about the attitude we have. It's about our feeling of our own confidence in what we do. So, Dan, I don't know, or otherwise, if there are any questions, if anybody wants to have any add anything.
Let's take some questions if there's any questions. Jim always has something pertinent to talk about. He looks like he's itching to say something.
Yeah, I am actually. I I type up notes, and I had one note I put in red, and it was you had said gain a better knowledge of your products, and for that I'd like you guys just to speak to all of us about this balance we need to accomplish, and that is, we want to be knowledgeable, but we don't want to just overwhelm people with too much knowledge. And also, we're not scientists at Nu Skin, so we can't profess to be the most knowledgeable on, nutritional supplements. I think that one thing that John always told me was when we were at a medical conference, he goes, Jim, look out there, there's probably 10 or 15 booths of nutritional supplements. And you know what? A lot of them are actually very good. He said, but you know what else? Not one of them has the biophotonic scanner. And so in that context, this is one thing I've been thinking about and trying to work on. And Stephen even had a presentation on it a week ago or so. And that is helping the doctor understand this whole relationship of free radicals and antioxidants. Because we all kind of assume, oh, they all must know that. But in fact, they may not. And so, how would you guys effectively take everything I just said and wrap it into a way to deal with them so that you're not trying to be the condescending smart guy, but you're trying to share something will open their mind to finally help them see there's something you could do for them?
I'd be happy to answer that. Doc, do you take any supplements? And they answer probably about 60, 70% of them do. And then just say, how do you know if they work?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
You don't have to be a scientist, because I don't honestly, if I try not to know too much about anything, because the more you know about something, the more you're going to be anxious to talk about it. So if you talk to a cardiologist in the morning at 10 o'clock and you talk to a dermatologist at 12, you cannot possibly answer their questions intelligently in their fields, because they know a hell of a lot more than we do. All we've got to do is say what we've got. What have we got? We've got the scanner, we've got this 75 scientists, we've got all the information to back it up, and we can send it to them. And the scanner is the whole differentiator between us and everybody else. How do you know if your stuff is working? And if it's science-based evidence, that's it.
Well, I have a question. Do you think that would be an effective opening question? Maybe after you ask the first couple of questions about the kids. But indeed, when it's like, hey, let's get down to business, would be, do you take supplements? Because indeed, I think it may be higher than 70%, maybe it's 70, but it's a high percent. Mm-hmm. And so if they're going to be honest with you, they will say yes. To me, what you had just said, I'm just thinking, wow, I think that would be the way, once you get past the connection, would be the very first business question. Because the second question has to be asked as well. And that is, how do you know they work?
Yeah, it's probing questions. Asking them those probing questions that's going to ultimately get you to what you want to talk about, or your ultimate goal, which is educating them about the biophotonic scanner. Put the supplements aside. We have the biophotonic scanner. That's what differentiates us, right? That's the single thing that differentiates us. That, and the fact that we have 85 scientists that work full-time for the company. When you tell people that, their minds are blown. They're like, it's a supplement company or it's a skincare company. Why would they need 85 different scientists? Because we need to have specialists in each field that gets us to where we need to be. We need to have nutritionists. We need to have chemists. We need to have, biologists. We need to have, laboratory analysts. All these different things is what we need to have to make sure that we're putting out a quality product, and that, ultimately the biophotonic scanner is going to validate all of that. And so, it's about asking probing questions. And we talk about it a lot that, the best thing you can do is listen. You learn a lot more from listening than you do from talking, right? And so don't get too deep into the weeds with this. Just tell them what we have. And when you ask probing questions and they try to deflect, that's when you start to challenge what they're saying. What I find interesting is that, if you look at the statistics, like 70% or something of physicians actually take a multivitamin. How many of those physicians do you think are actually recommending that to their patients? Probably very few. So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, and so we just need to get those doctors to the point, where we say, well, if you're taking supplements, do you recommend them to your patients? And if they say no, then you have to ask why, and challenge them on that. Well, if you're taking supplements, and most doctors, even though they think that supplements are a waste and that they don't actually work, or there's no efficacy behind them, they still take them. Why are they still taking them? Because it's better to take them than not take them. The chances of them doing harm are much less than the good that they could potentially be doing. And I think that's why a lot of physicians take supplementation.
Well, in fact, that's even the first question is, if you say, do you take supplements? And the person says yes, you could even say why. Why do you take them?
Oh, that is true. That's true.
That's the whole genesis of it. Why are you taking a supplement? Oh, well, just in case. Based on what? Oh, well, based on the literature. What literature? What have you read? What do you know about these? You see, I think the person that is asking the question is the person in charge of the dialogue. Because you ask the question and you can guide the person to wherever you want them to go. It's like playing chess. You know, you make a move, but you're going to move them to where you're going to be able to get where you want to get with them. So why do you take a supplement? What do you know about them? Where is your source of literature? As a genuine question, where do you get your source of literature? Which is your literature source? Oh, you know, well, I don't know. It comes from the American magazine or whatever. Say, okay, cool. Well, guess what? We've got something that could be really, really good for you because we've got it all backed up by science-based evidence. And here's the final result of $100 million investment, which is there to test, measure, validate, and prove that our stuff works. And I think we just lost Jim. Okay. All right.
Any other questions before we wrap it up?
Nothing? Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Dan, very much. Thanks, Jim,
Thanks,
when
Lawrence.
you're on it. But thanks, everybody, for being on. Appreciate your time. I hope it was useful. Blessings to you all. Friday 13th. Go for it.